Welcome to Season 3 of This Is Your Life in Silicon Valley, a podcast about the Bay Area, technology, and culture. I'm your host, Sunil Rajaraman, and I'm joined by my co-host, Yasha Kakis-Wolf. This Is Your Life in Silicon Valley is brought to you by The Bold Italic.
Hey, Sunil.
Hey.
How's it going over there across the table?
Going just fine.
Hey, have you ever met somebody in real life that you've only ever known online?
I have a few times, and I have to say, the internet, I believe, is a place where you can meet wonderful people, actually.
That is like the most glowing, shiny, happy, sunshiny thing I've ever heard you say. These things don't always end well, right?
They don't always end well, but today I'm especially positive because I met my Twitter idol, Mike Isaac, who's a New York Times reporter.
Not just a New York Times reporter, but what else?
He's writing a book on Uber.
On Uber, probably one of the most controversial and maybe most impactful technology companies in our lifetime.
And, what I really love about this interview is just how transparent, how accessible, and how human Mike is.
Yeah, maybe we get to learn a little bit about the anatomy of a leak from inside of a company.
This is one of those that you don't want to miss. We really hope you enjoy our interview with Mike.
Enjoy. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Are you a San Francisco native?
No, I was born in Florida, of all places, and then I grew up in Texas, and then I moved here in 2004.
Florida to Texas to here. Was there a point in your life, maybe in Florida or maybe in Texas where you grew up, where you were like, I have to be in San Francisco. I have to be in the Bay Area?
No.
That's good.
but I'm glad I landed here. I got here because I did too many drugs in college and flunked out, and then found my way over here, and my brother was here, and built my grades back up, and went to Berkeley and ended up staying out here. But I had zero plan.
What kind of drugs?
Yeah, and what school?
I went. Okay, so I'm actually kind of proud of this. I went to Arizona State and flunked out of Arizona State, which I think they were #1 party school in the country, so that was an accomplishment. And then. Sorry, I'm warm. And then
this closet is tiny.
No,
it's really
tight.
warm.
It's all good. And then just whatever was there.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I gotta start off.
Don't judge me.
No judgment at all. I just want to start off with a statement, if it's okay, and I want to declare that there is no better company at privacy in the world than Facebook.
Did you see me flip out about that?
So let's talk about this. So you were a victim of the recent hack.
Yeah, man.
Which recent hack?
The one that affected 50 million people, I think, or it was 90, then 50, and then. But one of Facebook's many hacks where people could have full access to your account. And
by the way, we need you to be direct line into the mic.
Got it.
Otherwise, Tyler, our sound guy, is here. He's on top of it.
He's gonna be mad.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss off Tyler.
No.
Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
Okay, great.
Look at him. He's getting up out of his chair like he's going to come fight us.
Do you need me to get closer?
So you were involved in one of the hacks. All of them? Some of them? One of them?
No, just one.
Just one.
This was this was also right in the middle of Facebook's prolonged crises after crises, and they had the Cambridge Analytica stuff. I think the Times did some big story. It might have been before that. And then they released this info saying that there was this vulnerability that essentially let hackers take over everything in your account. And they did that to me, and I have no idea what if they took over my account or whatever, but I probably would have noticed it by now. But so yeah, that was fucked up. And now they have this they're on this privacy tour, apology tour, and this marketing VP essentially said Facebook or privacy is the foundation of Facebook, which I just found laughable.
So you cover Facebook,
Yeah.
you cover a lot. One thing I'm really curious about is just not speaking specifically about Facebook, but the companies you cover, Uber, et cetera.
Yep.
Tell me about leaks. Okay, so employee leaks, right? So there's this whole phenomenon of you get these leaks. Are they increasing? How does a leak even work, right? I don't out any sources, obviously, but just tactically speaking, when someone leaks something to you, how does that even work?
I have found, it's really funny. Historically, Facebook is not a leaky company. They've actually had a really good reputation for being super tight. It's hard to break in there. And I've written about them for probably like 10 years now. I started writing about them in 2010.
Well, that's back when everything was happy.
Right. No, when Facebook was still like cool, when youngs were on it, when it wasn't just, old guys like us like, farting around and taking pics. So back in the day, you sort of like bought into this cult of Facebook. Everyone loved it, and all the people that were there working there really liked it. The thing that I noticed with companies, and I wrote about Uber last year during its insanity and downfall, is that leaks are just a symptom of bigger problems inside of the company. Mm-hmm. When people leak, when people talk to people like me, it's because they're usually unhappy or they have some sort of motivation to do so because they're trying to get some sort of result. I mean, that's one of the reasons. They're trying to get some sort of result. So Facebook is having, if you just watch the news, like more leaks than they ever have probably in their history. And that's because people are just not happy and they're starting to really grapple with the idea that maybe things they're doing are not all good, or maybe the company is not entirely a positive force for the world.
Which I'm really curious about, like the anatomy of a leak. Like how does it work? Like if Sunil, because Sunil is known for this kind of stuff, if you wanted to leak something to you,
I'm not a known leaker. Just for the record, I only have done startup companies, so I would be leaking on like a company of 14 people. So it's not.
It'd be easy to find you.
It'd be very easy to identify me.
Be the guy in the trench coat in the basement.
But like, what are the mechanics of it? I think it's kind of fascinating. How does it actually go down?
I mean, it's probably less sexy than you would imagine. I don't look like Robert Redford in like All the President's Men back in the day. It's like, it's not me in a trench coat in the basement. It's more like I'm in my sweatpants at home texting with someone, which is pretty much emblematic of my entire life. But I think it's the way that, I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's just, there's so many ways to get in touch with reporters now. And I think reporters are a lot more visible than they ever were before. I think the Times specifically, but then a lot of other reporters across different outlets just have this mandate to brand themselves and be very out there. You guys talked to Kara Swisher before, and Kara is her own thing. My old boss is like very Kara, right? And people gravitate towards that. And I think for the same reason you were interested in having me on, to see if I'm like actually funny or just like a horrible sweating mess.
Yeah, so listeners need to understand that I've idolized Mike on Twitter.
Stop it.
Yeah,
for like a year plus.
We started, we're now in our third season. In the first season, he's like, someday we're gonna be big enough where Mike's gonna join. Yeah. I'm not joking. That's not a joke.
You're very kind.
Here he is.
Well, I'm just.
And you're sitting here in your sweats,
not
texting people while we're talking.
Not in a weird stalkerish sort of way. Like, I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
I mean, it's fine. I understand.
Like that.
I understand if you want to stalk me.
I was in your apartment a little earlier, but
I would like one or two at least. That's real fame.
So that's interesting though. But when we're talking about, like, it's just not a big deal. It's just not a thing. Like, you're out there. People know who you are because of the quality of the work that you put out, and so they're just like, I'm gonna DM you on Twitter.
I think it can be. I think everyone. The funny thing is, like, some of my biggest stories have come from the most unlikely places. And I think one of the things in journalism is that stories always lead to more stories. So, like, the way you start out, or the way I started out, is just I used to write for Recode, and before that, All Things D, and before that, Wired. And it was just, you start with small scoops, and then people start noticing that you care about the same stuff. And my personal thing is just letting my id run wild into Twitter all day long. And like, some people seem to respond to that. Other people think I'm crazy or awful. But I think it's not. I wouldn't call it a tactic, but it just seems to give people more of an idea of who I am, even if they've never met me before, And I think that that like people respond to that. I think they just want to sort of, or at least the folks that I talk to can be like, oh, I know this guy, even though like I don't. I know that he just complains about his dog or like the poop on the streets or whatever, and I could tell him whatever, So it's kind of helpful in that sense.
So you get a lot of these. Let's just say, and again, Signal. What you have Signal open on your Twitter profile.
Yep.
But you get so many of these. Then, what does the investigation process look like? Because I'm sure you get a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Well, I would say two things. One, I do get like bad tips or things that just don't pan out, or people trying to spread. The other thing you have to use is just discretion over what is appropriate to report out, or like just people trying to like shit talk someone else or whatever.
Grind some axes.
Yeah, totally. And then also like you can get just too much information. Like I can, there's just too many leads for me to chase, and I have to sort of triage what I think is a reportable thing and what is realistic for me to do, or if I need it to be a longer term project, or if I'm working it with other people. So it's really just sort of, and thankfully I work on a team of like probably 15 or 20 people in the tech section at the time, so I can pass tips to other folks and whatever. So like, I mean, we're lucky to have that luxury. We actually have a team, but I think it's a lot of like managing and triage,
I asked a similar question to Kara, and I'll ask to you, and I'm very curious to hear your response. I won't tell you how she responded.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
I'll tell you after. Okay. How would you respond to someone who told you that, all right, I mean, of course the Times is going to run negative coverage on Facebook constantly because of just naturally there's an incentive for you to do so. You probably, as a publication, it would be beneficial to have Facebook broken up because they control distribution. So what would your response be to that?
To that sort of, I get that a lot actually. Like you are obviously, like, look, we're stealing, or so sometimes Facebook employees like get actively angry at me and like yell at me in my DMs or whatever, which is fine. Like, I'm here for your abuse, but I think it's like the thought process for them is, you're writing things that get a lot of hate clicks or get a lot of like outlandish clicks, and it's better for you guys to destroy us because we destroyed you first, right?
Yeah.
And like, I totally get that thinking, and I think it's fair to say that the backdrop to all of this is that publishing is sort of changing and crumbling around us as we try to work through it. I mean, that's just not how it's hard, and it's hard to like really argue against. Like, that's not how we do things. That's not how I approach a story. For me, it's more, my mandate is like, A, I'm the beat reporter for Facebook, so I just cover them anyway. But B, it's like, what is the story? What are people doing or talking about that is not out there, and what should be told? And it's likely not going to be positive a lot of the times, because Facebook, I think, did have a very positive upward trajectory for a very long time. And now not just them, but like everyone is sort of grappling with what the other side of the largest network in the world can do, So I think a lot of Facebook employees are getting defensive. And that's not to say that all coverage is equally good or valid. I think in any industry, there are people that are bad at their job. And so like, if I get something wrong, or if someone's piece is entirely wrong, like, we have to stay accountable for that. So I totally am open to that too. But that's not how I think, at least.
Maybe a bit of a shift in direction.
Yeah.
Do you like living in San Francisco?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't like making a good amount of money and still feeling broke.
Yeah.
But it's different. I mean, I moved here in 2004, and then I've been here on and off since then. So it's been interesting to watch the change so far.
Do you live in San Francisco proper?
I do. I live in like the Castro DuBose Triangle area.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to live here a decade from now?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I can't see it, just because.
Back to Texas or Florida?
Yeah, probably not that either. I mean, I think about this a lot. I have a wife and a dog, and so, but we don't have kids. I'm 34. She's 30. Bruna, my dog, is 4. And so that's our family. We live in a 1-bedroom. We have a deal for rent control, but it's still like not a deal literally anywhere else in the world or country. There is a limit to which we can grow or change our lives. And at some point, unless I go be like head of comms for Uber or something, which will not happen. But unless I went and did that and made some drastic changes in my lifestyle or whatever, it's just there's a point to which I either have to, I don't know, move to Vallejo or move out of the city or something, you know.
Do you get asked to be, to join the private sector quite a lot? And like, sorry, you know what I mean?
Right.
Tech.
To the other side.
The other side is what I actually meant.
Yeah. It'll come in. Some people will make overtures or kind of like want to feel me out, and it sort of comes in waves. There was a while where a lot of journalists were getting hired as, they call them, I think journalists have like a point of pride that they don't want to become PR, so they call them like marketing partners or something.
Yeah.
But you're basically PR, right? Which is fine. Like, it's an entirely legitimate career path. You can do that, but I think it's just like a pride thing for journalists, you know?
So you were not going to see you as a partner at a VC fund? Or...
I just don't. I'm already like unhireable by my Twitter feed. I'm surprised I still have a job.
No.
I think
Clearly not.
I think you're looking at this the completely wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like I've insulted like every brand that would potentially. I don't know. I don't think I would do that.
Is your book coming out before or after the Uber IPO?
Excuse me.
Well, why don't you tell listeners a little bit about your upcoming book? How about that?
Yeah.
Context.
So I started writing about Uber pretty much right after I got to the Times in 2014, and I feel super lucky for that. It was the middle of Uber's ascent, probably like the apex of its ascent, because it was still on the rise. People sort of like nebulously thought Travis was a douche, but not like fully solid. Like everyone still was like, Uber's cool, you know, or like, this is great. I don't have to like wait for a taxi, blah, blah, blah. And then I got to cover it through the insane period of 2017, and that arc sort of changed, and Travis became this super controversial and knocking things over.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Interesting, crazy, flawed character. And
was he always that? I mean, he clearly was always that, but was it really hidden well? Or was it just like the exuberance of all the things that they were doing just kind of masked it?
I think he's always been like that, man, like for years and years and years. But they were able to ride this sort of, honestly, it was like some of the VCs that talk about it was like, it was the perfect product market fit. Like it hit at the right time. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
People still use it like crazy, even if they feel weird or something about it, you know. But Travis, it worked. Some people argue he was the right CEO that had to go as far as he did until he no longer was the right CEO. And like, you got to change from wartime to
peacetime.
Yeah. And he only has one mode. That's what I have discovered over reporting. He has one mode.
Have you spent a lot of time with him?
No, he's not a fan. So I mean, and I don't know if that'll change. I don't think he's going to talk to me.
Huh. No, okay. So
which is kind of fun anyway, because you have to do your job around someone, which is its own challenge.
Let me try to defend him a little bit here. Okay, so you kind of need these mercurial personalities, right? I mean, you have him, you have Elon, you have these people who are just so insanely committed and driven to a mission, and to build something like that, maybe you need to be a little bit off. Not only that, but wouldn't you say that there is a little bit of a press halo around Lyft, for instance, and around Airbnb, which, we just spoke to the SF city attorney about. And, sure, they've made some changes, but they almost took a similar approach, which was, blatant disregard for, like, so what's your take on that?
No, this is a great question, and I think actually this is where I even kind of maybe defend Uber in a weird way. I think Uber and Travis became a symbol for a greater level of angst that people had towards tech in general and a lot of different tech companies, and combine that with the anxiety folks had for Trump being elected, and this sort of nebulous idea that Facebook maybe might have helped him get elected, or tech might have like had something to do with it, but people were, and we didn't, and remember late 2016, we didn't fully grasp what happened with Russia, what happened, like did Trump, like everyone was still trying to figure this out, and this is a scene in my book, like the Trump stuff gets melded together like almost by accident with Uber in this one moment where the immigration shutdown happens, the travel ban, and someone notices this tweet saying, Uber's trying to essentially profit off of people getting going to the airport, and the two become conflated in this moment. And I think it was just a lot of pent-up angst and anger from people kind of at tech but not really sure why, and then they were given a concrete action, which is delete Uber, right? And people were like, fuck, I can't do anything. I'm angry. I'm sitting at home. There's this travel ban. What do I do? I could delete my Uber and then take a screenshot and post it. And then hundreds of thousands of people did that, and it hit the company hard. So I agree with you. I think it's wider than just them.
Mm-hmm. Do you? I'm kind of curious about Sunil's question, and maybe we go back after that.
Huh.
Like you talk to and are around lots of CEOs for big, powerful companies. Mm-hmm. Do they all have to be assholes?
I mean, that's another good question. I wouldn't say assholes. I think you have to be unflinching in your drive and maybe even optimism that you can. Like, you have to be crazy to think you can do some of these things at the scale that they do them, right? Like, everything in a startup, and this is the empathy that I have for founders, is everything in a startup is, like, designed for your failure, right? They're incumbents. Like, this is why Travis hates taxi. Travis hates big government. And Uber was not always as big as it was, right? They have so much against them, and you have to believe that you can break up these cabals, like, slowly but surely over time. And that's why they hate people like me so much, because I just see all the ways you're going to fail, or at least like see all the ways that this is probably not going to work out. So I do think I wouldn't call it like asshole. You just sort of have to be like in an optimistic version of La La Land to think this is all going to work out.
Do you think that they've turned it around with the CEO change? Like, what's your view of Uber now?
Yeah. I mean, Dara Khosrowshahi is the CEO. He came from Expedia. He got installed late last year, I guess. And he's definitely the right guy to take Uber public. And Uber going public is sort of this big moment for them because, they've been private for 9 years. There's a bunch of people who want to cash out. They want to just sort of, it's a big public market milestone anyway, and then like normal people can actually get in on this investment potentially. And Dara is like the adult in the room, quote unquote, and I think he actually is. I mean, I don't want to. The hard part too is that he's very likable if you meet him, and you don't like. You just sort of have to be careful of that because like. Whatever. They still have similar problems to whether Travis is there or not. They still have.
Oh, you're likable.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm likable?
Yeah, gotta be careful around this guy.
Yeah, that's nice of you to say.
Like
hey, we can get the vibe going. Like, I got it.
No, I like you. I think, but no, I think he'll get it across the finish line. It's more like, are the markets gonna be receptive to this company, and are people going to buy into ride sharing as a long-term investment?
Is that the thread in your book?
Is that
the thread that pulls through the book?
I think it's more. I think mine is. If I have to, I need to start like preparing how to do this in like an elevator pitch because I have to sell this.
We're here for you.
Here we go.
So not
There's
looking forward to marketing this book. elevator pitch would just be the sort of the rise and fall of this idea of the cult of the founder, and the founder knows all. Like, I think this other thing in the Valley is like founders can do no wrong and know everything, and are sort of praised by their boards, by their investors, and given all this leeway. And Zuckerberg, for a very long time, was like the top example of that, right? And I feel like Kalanick is the version of that going like drastically wrong, when everything bad about capitalism, Silicon Valley, startups is turned into one guy. So I try to follow that arc.
So after this, Cult of the Founder is a pretty awesome title.
Cult of the Founder. There you go.
That is a good title.
Good title for a podcast.
Yeah, seriously. Then we get into podcasting.
Yeah. You convert a bunch of founders into a cult. Cult of the Founder.
Plural.
Yeah, Cult of the Founders. So let's just say, all right, you're satisfied. You're done with your work on Uber. You're done with your work on Facebook.
Yep.
What are the next 2 companies that you would want to cover that you feel are drastically undercovered?
That's a good question. I think I'm like total. I mean, this is like my life shit. Like, what do I want to do, sort of thing. And I'm trying to figure that out too. I think Uber and Facebook are probably 2 of the most important companies right now. I think Amazon should probably get more scrutiny than it does, just because it is so undergirded as a part of our life. And like now, I mean, I read a piece the other day about someone who tried to not use Amazon for a week or a month or something, and it was like impossible or at least very difficult, right? And so I think the level of scrutiny that they get is kind of surface level because of how many things they have going on, but that would be, I don't know, you have to make that beat fun and interesting, and maybe I could do that. That would be fun.
Seattle's not the funnest place in the world to live.
You don't like Seattle?
I lived there for a long time.
I lived there for
Really?
It is lovely to visit. Like, it's awesome.
Maybe that's why I only I dated someone there, and I would go like
You're
for
like,
a
"This is
week at a
beautiful,
time.
this
This
is
is
amazing."
awesome.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain was here. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
50 sunny days a year.
Yeah, I would probably want to die.
My wife's going to kick me when I say that. She's a Seattle native. I'm like, wow.
Where did you live in Seattle?
A couple places. We were in Queen Anne when I first moved
yeah.
there, the south side of Queen Anne, back before it got all cleaned up, which was pretty cool. And then Capitol Hill.
Oh, man.
Capitol Hill's awesome.
Yeah.
Today it's a little bit different now. We bought a condo way back in the day as we were kids, and we still have it. And it's like the whole neighborhood is completely transformed. Can't even recognize when we show up there. Like, what?
Probably
just
like the
happened?
Mission now, basically. It's like just very different.
Yeah, unbelievably different. And now it's like Amazonville. Back when
Right.
it wasn't Amazonville, Paul Allen had started to do some development work downtown, and he was like I'm the person who is thinking about like commercial real estate and people actually working and living here, and I'm gonna do it. And he made all these investments that you never really got to appreciate. But have fun living there.
No,
Hey, all respect to our Seattle
I do want to
listeners.
go there. But, yeah.
Thanks for walking me back on that one.
Yeah. It's
You
just a personal
lost
choice.
the whole market.
It's just a personal choice. Seattle's great, though.
I make bad choices. It happens.
So, okay. So, you're going to release the book. The book is going to come out. Sorry, when? We didn't get that part.
No, it's next year, probably around, if not after the IPO. It's sort of, things are in motion right now. So the IPO actually came sooner than, so they were supposed to IPO in September, and they are going to be in like April. So I'm as in flux as they are.
Are people at Uber worried about the book? Like, do you get reached out to by the comms team there a lot, or like, what's the situation?
I think it's funny because like I have a good relationship with their comms in that they know I will not be unfair and like just set them on fire for no reason. I might set them on fire for a reason, but I think they're probably like nervous but not like terrified. Like part of this whole last year was them sort of self-flagellating and coming clean with all their dirty laundry and being like, we are sorry, please forgive us, Dara is Jesus, come alive and everything is going to be great now. So like, unless I find some crazy dead body in the closet they missed, which I might have, but like I think they're just sort of like trepidatious but not like terrified.
And are you going to take time off, or are you going to just jump back into it?
To go like on the road or whatever with the book and stuff? Or
Yeah, so after the book tour, book sells 1 million copies or whatever it is, then what?
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I honestly, like, I have no idea. I have no idea if anyone's going to want to read this. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just like, all I'm thinking about is to get it done, get it out the door, cover this IPO, and then like, I mean, I literally live my life like one day at a time. I can barely get clothes on and come here. I don't even know how to.
He is wearing clothes.
I don't know. I am naked right now.
Yeah. First naked.
This
Naked podcast says where we are in San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh man, I live in the Castro where now before I moved here, like it would probably faze me to see naked people on the street. Now I'm just
not at all.
I'm a San Franciscan, I feel like.
We've got 3 kids and our youngest is 10 now. We used to live in Noe Valley and we would walk through the park. And as we were walking through the park, like the beach side of the park where everybody's out and their thongs kind of hanging out, we'd always like walk through the middle of it, not a big deal. And then for a while there were a bunch of guys that were naked protesting on the corner of Market and what are the main drag there?
Castro?
Dolores.
Oh, it's Dolores. No, yeah.
Wait, but what are the streets on Dolores? It's happening. I can't remember things. That's what happens when you get old, Neil.
Yeah,
it's going to happen to you someday.
I can't even remember our interviews this morning.
And he was like, Dad, all these naked people, they're everywhere. And now it doesn't even faze him. He's like, man, whatever. Doesn't matter.
It's Jimmy.
Another story. So a couple of other questions to wrap up with. And this has been great. I asked this one to Kara, and I'll also, I'm not going to tell you the answer. If you could interview any 3 people, they all agree to a sit-down interview with you, and no questions off limits, who would they be?
Oof, I'm so bad at these. Mine would be totally just for my own.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
that's
totally
great.
It would be, George Saunders. Do you know author George Saunders? He's so good. He's probably my favorite living author right now. Or no, one of them. He wrote a book called, 10th of December, which was like a bunch of short stories. Anyway, I was an English major, so I love all that foofy shit. And then, I wouldn't want to do tech because I think I just have tech all the time. And like, I still get starstruck. I get starstruck by like real celebrities, like non-tech people, but like,
do people get starstruck by you, by the way?
Oh God, I don't think so. I think
like you could show up to a party, or people like, oh look, there's the New York Times reporter.
I think I'm like dumb enough in my like public personality that I diffuse any mystique about me.
I'm not starstruck right now at all.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like sweating, my hands are sweating, I'm shaking.
I do get like random. I think that's the fun thing, actually. Like I'll do get like random people to come say hi when I'm at dinner or something out here. But it's mostly my dog. Honestly, people care about my dog more than me. I have a very large Bernese Mountain Dog that I use to pimp my work.
Well, you got 2 more people that you were supposed to know.
And you're going full celebrity, which is all cool.
No,
like
I think
Hollywood
it would
celebrity.
Probably be who am I like? It would be some writer.
Oh. Musicians?
Writers. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm big like Josh Homme fan from Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah.
They're like super big fan of theirs, and that would be one. And then probably, oh man, maybe Trent Reznor would be a good one too. He's like very opinionated.
Very.
Which I like.
Super outspoken.
So not Trump, Chrissy Teigen, or Angela Merkel.
No, I'm not into world leaders. No, I don't know. I think I would probably go the celebrity route. That's the other thing. So if I have to move out of here, everyone's moving to LA. Should I move to LA? That's
Yeah.
the question.
The answer is yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like there's haters here that'll be like, no, man.
Well, that's Sunil,
sucks.
clearly.
I
You
lived
see
in
that
LA
as
for a long
smug?
time.
Did you?
Yeah.
And?
Yeah. I mean, it's nice.
LA's in a
The
renaissance
commute. It's
period.
just the traffic kills
driving.
it.
Like,
The
it's any better
traffic
here.
just kills it.
Yep.
You were like texting me this morning. I'm gonna be late. The traffic here is miserable.
Yeah, but at least it's predictable. It's like there's the 101 and there's 280. That's it. There you got like 405, 605,
They're all miserable.
105.
Every freeway you get on anywhere in California is miserable. Period.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, I don't know.
LA is great. Great food scene. It's warm all the time. They don't have any water. Like, that's all good.
Hey, actually, you know what?
like Mad Max.
I have a good one here. We can't let Mike get away with that answer. So just pretend I'm Travis for a second. Let's role play.
Are you gonna throw something?
He sits down. He agrees to an interview with
I should have said
for the
Travis,
book.
shouldn't I? Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
let's just say he agrees. What is the one question that you ask him?
Oh, man.
You have one question. You can sit down, put it on the record in the book, and you need to know the answer to this.
It would be probably simple. Just like, do you have any regrets as to what you did, or would you change anything over 2017?
What's your answer, Travis?
I'm not really going to answer it. I wasn't actually going to role
I
play.
thought you were really gonna role play.
No, I'm not going to really role play.
I don't think he would. I don't think he does though. I feel like he would just keep maybe like some strategic stuff, but he like owns it, man. And there's something really I think this is why I decided to write about it. I think he's a tragic character. I think he's like a billionaire now, but he also kind of alienated himself. He doesn't really have a whole lot of friends. All the people at the top of the company turned on him at the end, and like it's the perfect sort of dramatic arc, but it's kind of lonely at the top in some ways, you know? So
Yeah. It's lonely everywhere. It's lonely in the middle. It's lonely on Instagram.
That's correct.
It's very lonely on
It's lonely on
Facebook.
Twitter.
So this has been awesome, and we have one question that we want to make sure you answer for all of our listeners that we ask to everybody. You spend time on Twitter, we know that. Maybe you spend time on other social networks. On either Twitter or another social network, what's at least one person you'd recommend, or company you'd recommend, or brand you'd recommend following?
I mean, so maybe I'll just do, because the origin of so on Twitter, my avatar is a toilet paper bear and the Charmin bear. And I get asked.
I'm going to admit that I didn't know that until just now, and I like a light bulb.
Oh my God,
just
did you really?
went off.
That's awesome.
Oh man! Oh, I get it now. I get it.
So there's, that's great. So this is not me officially endorsing a brand, by the way. I think I would get fired for that. But I would say the Charmin toilet paper handle on Twitter is one of my favorites. And I adopted that avatar just because it was the first time I ever saw like a brand that literally is just, you have to like wipe your ass with their product, fully embodying the spirit of it. They would just make poop jokes all day on Twitter, and like they were not embarrassed. And I just found that noble. So Charmin at Charmin.
I get it. I just feel like I get it now.
You get me, right?
I get it now. I completely get it. Okay. Well, this was awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you very much for spending the day with us.
No, this was fun. Thanks so much.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. I'm just so surprised by how humble and how accessible Mike is.
Yeah, like I want to hang out with him, and I also want to go adopt a Burmese mountain dog.
I do too, and I don't want to tell my daughters that because they're going dog crazy right now. But I am excited to read Mike's book when it comes out.
And maybe if you listen to the podcast and you liked it, you might consider tweeting at Mike with your ideas for the title for his book. But I kind of like founder cults.
Founder cults would be a great name for this one. We really hope you enjoyed this interview, and please support us by tweeting us at The Bold Italic or emailing us at info@thebolditalic.com.
I always like to end on this too. If you like Sunil as much as I like Sunil, wherever you listen to this podcast, whatever app you found it on, if you rate us 5 stars and share it out with your friends, it actually helps the podcast a lot.